Lionstone 12:13. You see, Father works, you know what I mean? And this is all puzzles cracking right after another. I recognize that the devil was made of an instrument of music. So music means a big key because music today is what leads me to understanding. Because there was place in their souls for a purpose. Now, the video that catches my attention is the video with Travis Scott and Drake when it talks about the machines telling them, don't play them for weak, we gotta play them for keeps. But at the beginning of the video, we know when it's on because the sun is down and Drake says he's on sicko mode. But as you go more down the road, Drake starts shattering, and behind him is an alien. You know, he's shattering into an alien. So let's say they're being led by alien technology. Let's say, you know what I'm saying? I can't guarantee because Father ain't get me in that far, but I could guarantee their understanding of Egypt. Egypt was encountered through aliens and had all kind of different kind of things because they got it in the hieroglyphic. Now here's the understanding that I didn't understand at the moment. I recognize that Zeus called the flood because we have Greek history where it says Zeus called the great flood, you know, in Greek mythology. Now, what was the problem with the flood situation? Well, there was a couple problems. A couple problems was the devil, the serpent, because before I grabbed horns, I had to die. Understand? Adam didn't grab the horns and then take the position of the bull until he died. But he was blessed for that. You know what I mean? So here was the misconcept of everything. We recognize that Enoch came, he had his kid and said he looks up the angels, you know what I mean? It started racism because the devil didn't want to serve Adam because he was black and he called him a dog ass nigger. Right? So the devil started racism through being white individual, but the blacks carried racism through the black skin and the black hand because the far fact that they didn't want to accept the white skin and black skin mixed together. Now, this was all a big scam and a big game by Father to make sure that the ones that enter are blinded as he started them from the tree on colors. Now, here's the situation. We recognize that Travis Scott video and Drake's video talk about he's on Stipe. He's on gotta clean him. They're telling me they gotta clean me. How they clean me? They don't know how far, or they may or they may not know who they're talking about, but I know who they're talking about. See, Osiris comes from Ra. Ra was the power in the times of Egypt. Osiris had a brother that was called Seth that served Isis, the goddess. You know what I mean? So Isis, these mixed fallen angels that called themselves gods. So within them times, Father is eternal love, which is anything that stands around him has to be pure love. It's not accepted. You know what I mean? So if they don't have pure love, they can't be accepted no matter what. You know what I'm saying? No matter how many sack of goats you get, how many prayers you give, you wasn't allowed into the kingdom for a purpose. Now, We recognize that Seth went against Osiris. Osiris controlled hell. Not every individual that lost their lives in that flood was bad. He shows they was just confused. You know what I mean? They went with the beat. You know what I'm saying? When Noah started building the ark, when most people are influenced by these rappers, these individuals that believe in this music and this rap shit, they don't mean that necessarily. If they could have been influenced by something else, they could have changed to being something else. But they was influenced by the streets. So the streets had dominated them. But in time, it showed that he has cried and he suffered from the situation that he's been in, speaking from personal experience. You know what I mean? So, Father shows that, okay, when they all ended up in hell, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause everybody went to hell. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't no way around it. When you died between Adam and Noah's time, and even after Noah's time, to all the way to Jesus, everybody ended up in hell. No matter how many sacrifices you gave, how many goats and lambs, you was sent to hell, regardless. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that happened when you sacrificing goats and belief that you was marked in the blood and in faith to be released to another section. You know what I'm saying? How the section could have been reincarnation, I don't know. I don't know if they was reincarnated or they was sent up on that. I don't know. Because we know that judgment, someone was in hell. Because the king says, one of the kings in the scripture says, you know, that served and mistreated his slave. You know, let him dip his hand in water and wipe my lips. You know what I'm saying? And send one of your angels to warn my brothers so they don't end up here. You know what I mean? So we recognize that individuals were in hell getting tormented within them times. So the subject is, okay, in the Egypt times, say there was new spaceships, aliens, whatever, however they was doing it, gods, temples, electricity, all this stuff was going on. They was teaching them makeup, you know what I'm saying? They was mixed in with giants. They had all kind of shit going on. And within that time, until they infuriated Father, and he sent the flood. When he sent the flood, he killed everybody besides the family of Noah. But not everybody that died, he's showing, was bad. They just couldn't be accepted. You know what I'm saying? Because Father understands that it's impossible to be perfect unless you keep trying. You know what I'm saying? To be perfect. So he comprehends that it's impossible to be perfect unless you keep trying. So, bam, we move to the next division. The next division was Noah built the ark and started giving sacrifices. That was the next level of situation. So within them times, the ones that believed, you know what I'm saying, and believed had to give their sacrifices, their prayers, and by etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So we look at the gods had to deteriorate. The Egypt gods had to deteriorate before the flood. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere along the line, they went from Egypt gods and they transformed. You know what I'm saying? Either they had both shit going on, that Father had both God sections going on, or they had to have a time period where the fallen were leading and then the demons took over as gods, and Father left that and elevated to Zeus's subject to where Zeus was running the situation through that side. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe he divided it into sections, or God is Almighty, he could have had it going on both at the same time. He's not giving me every last detail. He's just giving me a pre-example. So we know Zeus called the flood. So that the one that got the information from, where Noah got the information for to build the ark called the flood, So, I don't know. I got to go into scripture. Did Noah have a name for God at that time? But we know the Greek gods had a name for Zeus. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Father was speaking to the same person or somewhere the line. That's the jam. You know what I mean? Was Noah told his name or was Noah not told his name? You know what I mean? So I know Zeus happens to be reality because as we move forward through time, most of the Greek gods, most of Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, and every individual was glorified by Zeus. You know what I'm saying? Because they worshiped these gods. But there was a time when Jesus Christ came that it was a flip on quarters. You know what I'm saying? That's why God placed me, was working me from this person to 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 this person and following my bloodline all the way here. You know? So we went from, I don't even know if we had prayers between Adam and Noah, but I know we had prayers and sacrifices after Noah had the pre-flood. But then we had Nimrod and we had Samurais. You know what I mean? Samurais created Nimrod, turned him into a sun